and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Okay. We need to talk about the Democratic primary. I know. It's a waste of time, but hear me out. Just hear me out. There's been some action happening in RFK Jr.'s campaign. Now, again, I'm not voting Democrat. I sure as hell ain't voting Republican, but I find it interesting that RFK Jr. is actually doing something that Bernie Sanders would never do, even in his dreams, and that is really challenging the Democratic National Committee. And on September 13th, he sent an open letter to the Democratic National Committee. So let's talk about it. I want to pull it up here and address this letter that he wrote to them. Now, he goes on to say, Dear Chairman Harrison and members of the DNC, that's your first mistake, RFK Jr. You're talking to these people like they're people. I know some of you well. A few of you are among my oldest friends. Others of you I have never met, but all of you are my family. Oh, horrible choice of words. As public servants and fellow Americans. Families tell one another the truth, as best we are able, with grace and love, and above all, with candor. When we take wrong turns or fail to live up to our best selves, it is our family's responsibility to hold up a mirror and recall us back to our true purpose and highest self-expression. You're not going to get that in the Democratic Party, RFK. Okay? Just being real with you. And so I feel compelled to write to you now because, in my view, limited though it may be, the Democratic Party has gone off track. Oh, you think? You think? I mean, again, I read this letter and it's good. I like it, right? But I just can't help but wonder, like, RFK, look, come onto my show, okay, RFK Jr. I need to talk to you, man, because for some reason, you seem to be viewing the Democratic Party as like that ex-girlfriend, like you had a great time, but you failed to remember that she threw that frying pan at you and then almost burnt your house down. Like, Democratic Party was never this great bastion of liberty and freedom. Maybe there was an idea, they occasionally did a few things like an abusive ex would do, like a nice thing here and there, but the vast majority of that experience, that relationship, has been a complete freaking disaster. Let me calm down. We live in times of division, disease, and turmoil, but they are not the first such times in our nation's history. Rulers always face temptation to maintain social control by denying the people their sovereignty and their voice. That's how the DNC, talk to Nico House. He'll tell you all about the DNC. But from our nation's founding, through many struggles, we have upheld freedom instead. Okay. Our founders shed their blood for it. The civil rights movement fought for it. And the Democratic Party supported the movement under Kennedy and Johnson administrations, culminating in the Voting Rights Act. Throughout the modern era, the Democratic Party fought back against censorship. No, they haven't. Upheld civil liberties. No, they haven't. Resisted corporate. I'm trying to read through this letter. I've read through it, but doing it live on the air, again, I just can't help but kind of smirk. Resisted corporate influence. Really? RFK Jr. Resisted corporate influence. Nah, that's the STD all over the Democratic Party. Come on. And sought to enfranchise as many voters as possible. The Democratic Party truly lived up to its name. The party of democracy, the party of the people. No. Unfortunately, in recent years, no, it's been like this for a long time, our party leaders have succumbed to the siren of control. They have compromised the defining democratic principle of one person, one vote through repeated interference in primary elections. They've been doing that for a while. They have hijacked the party machinery and in recent years directed the power of censorship onto their political opponents, raising political victory onto the altar of place of honest democracy. In schoolrooms across the country, we teach our children that they have the inalienable right to self-determination, that no matter the town or creed or condition into which they were born, they each have an equal right to vote for the life and society of their choosing. Oh, that sounds nice, but come on, these kids are being lied to at an early age. Jesus Christ. And that someday they too will have the chance to put forth their ideas and be elected or passed over based on equal votes of diverse peers. God, that's such a good good feeling, but we all know it's non-existent. Never in all the civic lessons in all the schools in America did a teacher add, except for in states the president lost in the previous election. Never in all the glorious retellings of our fight for universal voting rights has any teacher added, the decision of the people should be overturned if it doesn't comply with the preference of the ruling elites. That's how a lot of things have been running for a long time, RFK Jr. Yet this is exactly the new page in history that the DNC's pending rules purpose, casting out New Hampshire's votes, limiting the ballot access in Iowa, and deploying party operatives to water down the popular vote and ensure a controlled victory. Equal disheartening is the DNC's refusal to hold debates. They're not going to do that for an incumbent, but I get where he's coming from. The matter of precedent is superior, as there has been no serious primary challenge to the incumbent in more than 40 years, although Al Gore, a sitting vice president, did debate challengers in 2000. Voters deserve, and democracy requires, a competitive process to which determine nominees. It should be a party's voters who choose a candidate, not party insiders who anoint one. Well, that's the DNC, RFK. The DNC and Joe Biden campaign have essentially merged into one unit, you think? Financially and strategically, despite the promise of neutrality in its charter and bylaws. DNC is not supposed to favor one candidate over the other. Oh, 2016 wants to knock on your door. It's supposed to oversee a fair democratic selection process, then support the candidate that its voters choose. I gotta just see where the left. Oh my goodness, the audience, you guys are brutal. You're laughing. You're laughing. All of you are laughing. Why are all these again? Robert Templeton writes, electile dysfunction. Yep. Oh my goodness. You guys and gals are just too brutal. You guys are just too brutal. Why is my audience so mean? Much has been said in recent years about our country's endangered democracy. It's already dead, buddy. As someone who has spent decades battling corrupt corporate polluters, I can attest that endangered species are not saved by idle talk. We didn't bring the bald eagle back to the Hudson River Valley by holding a press conference. We did it by cleaning up pollution that threatened its survival and introducing new chicks to the world. That's baby chicks, not chicks, okay? Get your minds out the gutters. I know how some of you think in my audience. Our endangered democracy is no different. Its salvation lies in cleansing our society of toxic divisions and corporate greed that pollute our political waters. Okay? Its salvation lies not in sound bites, but in the careful seeding and nurturing and protection of healthy examples of democracy in action. So, my dear family of fellow public servants and caretakers of democracy, I would like to offer a heartfelt invitation. Please lead by example. They're not going to do it. And hold the most transparent, equal, accessible, accountable election that has ever been seen in this country. You have the power to do this. They won't. You have the power to restore faith of the people. They won't. Faith in the Democratic Party. They won't. Faith in democracy itself. Not going to happen. Family to family, I urge you to reflect privately and in consultation with your higher power, the almighty dollar, on what legacy you wish to leave. A legacy of corruption. Will it be fearful despite grasping for power at all costs, or will it be confident and gracefully letting go that marks those who truly believe in democracy? And if in those reflections you find yourself seeking sage counsel, I offer the parting words of good old GW himself, George Washington, a leader whose voluntary handover of power set the precedent that echoes to this day. This is where Roger Meadows is correct. Abolish all political parties. Roger Meadows, shout out to you, buddy. Parties, Washington warned, become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. I write to you now in the hope that you hold the engine of democracy as sacred as I do. They don't. RFK, listen, you got to come on my show. We got to talk, buddy. I pray that at a time of public discontent, you cede more power to the public, not less, thereby do right by yourselves, by the American people, and by the idea of self-determination that inaugurated our great nation in service of a more perfect union. In practice, this letter sounds great. The truth is, you want what they did with it? Hang on. I haven't done this in a while. I haven't done this in a long time. Hang on. RFK Jr., they looked at your letter like this. Hang on. Let's do this right. If I'm gonna do this right, I'm gonna do it like with full theatrics. It's full regalia. I haven't done this in a long time on the show. They looked at this letter. Hang on. Got a piece of paper here. Oh my goodness. Well, anyways, see a piece of paper right here, right? Look at this letter. It's even though it's blank. They're like, very good letter. Get this shit out of here. That's what they did. That's what they did. I want to pull up this video here where RFK Jr. talks about meeting. Hold on. Let's be very clear here. Just want to acknowledge the tweet too. Today, the DNC met for the Rules and Bylaws Committee, and sadly, not much has changed. I could have told you that, RFK Jr. I could have told you that.
Hey, everybody, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here. Well, today the DNC did convene its Rules and Bylaws Committee, but sadly, not much has changed. Our primary is still not free and fair.
At least he's talking about it, unlike the cuck Bernie Sanders.
The DNC is continuing to coerce New Hampshire to bend to the wishes of President Biden's reelection campaign. And if New Hampshire doesn't comply, then the votes of the people of New Hampshire won't count. And of course, there was no mention in the meeting of separating the Biden campaign financially and organizationally from the DNC. The DNC, by its own charter, is supposed to be impartial, but they're not even bothering to pretend. Meanwhile, our campaign is unstoppable. We continue to build momentum. We're getting giant crowds. We have over 200,000 volunteers. The contributions are coming in, and I want to thank all of you for your support. In signing that petition to the DNC, we generated over 30,000 signatures in the last 24 hours. And I got to personally speak to so many of you and hear your concerns for our democracy and for our country. This is only the beginning. We're going to take back our country. We have a people-powered movement, and I want to thank all of you for your continued support, and God bless you all, and God bless our country.
I didn't want to interrupt it, but look, RFK, listen, this is what you got to contend with, okay? Again, I want to give a huge shout out to Lori Spencer, who was able to retweet this out. Here's a quick recap of just what they said. Approved an extension until October 14th for New Hampshire to submit a 2024 primary date that compiles with the national party rules. The DNC voted earlier this year to switch New Hampshire with South Carolina as the first in the nation primary.
Finally, we'd like to discuss the delegate selection plan for New Hampshire. As you'll note, the waiver extended for the New Hampshire Democratic Party expired on September 1, 2023, and we are still only in receipt of a plan that does not include a date in it. We committed at the outset of this process to allow for every opportunity for states to honor the opportunity of hosting their nominating contest within the early window. We want to recommit to that principle and continue to work with the New Hampshire Democratic Party towards that goal. To that end, we would like to put forward a motion to extend New Hampshire's 12A waiver until Saturday, October 14, 2023. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing.
And now you know why people aren't engaged with the Democratic Party. So what can we learn from this? Well, first of all, the DNC, they are not, nor will they ever acknowledge the fact that they're rigging their primaries. Now, RFK Jr., to his credit, is talking about it, which is something I wanted to see Bernie Sanders or AOC or anybody really talk about. But no, they won't. But there's another issue, too, with this primary, and that is the current two candidates, not Joe Biden, but Marianne Williamson and RFK Jr., are in a little bit of a precarious spot because, again, they have yet to really get the Secret Service kind of protection. What do I mean by this? Because not only is there the potential, not potential, but most likely 2024 election rigging that will take place during the Democratic primary, but also their security is at risk too. Case in point, this video.
Kennedy's security noticed something suspicious about him and detained him before they called police. The man was arrested. Kennedy says he was wearing 2 shoulder holsters with loaded pistols and had spare ammunition magazines. The FBI has been notified Kennedy is running for president.
Now, again, I do want to pull this video up here too. There's, again, no Secret Service yet for RFK Jr., but this is the guy. You know, again, to the untrained eye, he looks like he fits in, kind of, maybe, as one of those special agents. But the fact he got that close is very concerning.
That's all it is.
Officer, we have a bomb dog. You want to take a look at that bag really quick before you guys get into it?
Again, I am a little bit concerned about the RFK Jr. campaign because, you know, not to say that history repeats itself, but it sure does rhyme because something happened to his dad a long time ago. Very questionable what happened. Same thing to his uncle, you know. Something questionable kind of out there happened. The American people still want answers to this day. I don't know how this entire primary will play out for the Democratic Party. I don't even know how the entire 2024 election cycle will play out. But I remember saying I wanted this one to be exciting. I wanted it to be action-packed. Part of me is surprised where it's going so far, at least the build up to it. We're still in 2023. But now I'm kind of getting the buyer's remorse. Be careful what you wish for. But who knows what lies in store for this election. Just keep your heads on a swivel, folks. It's only going to get crazier. Stay tuned to Hard Lens Media.